Hey all you beautiful people, welcome to Singapore. We got to Singapore at about 6 o'clock this morning, Singapore time. We spent some time this morning trying to stay awake, walking around Chinatown. We came back to our pool at our hotel because it is hot and humid, which we expected. After a little dip in the pool, we went to a Singaporean French bistro kind of place and had some snacks. Trying to keep awake this first day to adjust to the hours. And apparently there's otters here. We are walking around the Singapore Botanic Gardens, basically in an effort to stay awake as long as we can to get used to the time difference. It's a pretty little place. It kind of reminds me of Southeast Asian Central Park. It's fairly manicured, but there's black swans and otters.
And free-ranging chickens.
And free-ranging chickens. We did notice a rooster hanging around.
Red-eared slider.
Oh, red-eared sliders. Oh yeah, he's cruising over towards us.
I like this.
Oh, he just dived underneath the water. So, pretty cool little botanic gardens. We're gonna walk around here and stay awake as long as we can. We got a good night's sleep and a great breakfast at Samyak Cafe. We're mostly recovered from our jet lag and are about to go visit the National Gallery behind me. There is the neatest optical illusion thing right behind me. I'm gonna walk over it and show ya. That is so neat. There's Maribeth taking a selfie. As I'm taking a selfie. The National Museum has some of the most helpful docents that I've ever seen in a museum. A little bit too helpful. Every gallery we've gone into, they all want to tell us all about the gallery and tell us where to go next. I mean, it actually is helpful, but it's every single one of them. This is really a fantastic museum, and one of the really interesting things is that it's a Saturday and there's hardly anybody here. There are more docents than there are visitors, so you're gonna have it all to yourself, which is a pretty cool thing. Outside up on the roof is this really super cool bamboo maze installation. There's a tea house in the middle of it that you can get into once you get there. And there's a really neat rooftop water fountain that projects reflections of the water down into the space below. It's really, really neat design. What do you think of the little tea house?
I like the air conditioning.
We just ended our little visit to the National Gallery, and now it's time to go find some lunch. That is a world-class museum, and there was hardly anybody in there. Made for a wonderful time. I'm super surprised that there weren't a ton of people in there. We just ate at the famous Yet Con in Singapore, and it was delicious. Super no-nonsense service. You walk in and this lady throws a bowl of chicken and rice on your table with some soup, but it's really fantastic. It was delicious. Singapore is a gorgeous city. It's kind of what I would imagine a city would look like if it were designed by Walt Disney. It's very clean. Everything is superbly designed. Maybe a little too sterile for some tastes, but it actually is very pretty. And we're gonna have a little bit of heat stroke here. Checking out the bear lion. It is really hot today. Sweat is streaming down because the humidity is ridiculous. Everyone here is super enthusiastic about taking selfies, and we're at the classic selfie spot in Singapore. So take all the selfies you want because everybody else is doing it. We have definitely noticed that people in Singapore are basically glued to their phones all the time. So if you want to be as touristy as you want to be, you will blend right in with the crowd. We're about to go do the most touristy thing you can do in Singapore. We're gonna go have a Singapore sling at Raffles. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be awful. How much did that drink in your hand cost?
$38. I could have bought the ingredients and made dozens of them. See how it tastes? It's good. Tastes like a Singapore sling.
It's my turn to try out the $38 drink. It actually is pretty good. We are at a Chinese restaurant in Singapore where nobody speaks English and we have no idea what we've ordered. We'll find out. Turns out the food was pretty good. Bean curds that we had, which I've never had those before, were probably the tastiest. They had these, we also had deep fried shrimp dish that was fabulous. Also had udon noodles with squid, which were also good. Just outside of our restaurant, we were treated to a lion dance performance as part of the Mid-Autumn Festival. We're getting some breakfast at our local hawker center. Not too many places are actually open this morning because I assume because of the autumn festival. I still think we've gotten to be able to make some good choices. We're getting some fried carrot cake and we got some good pastries or what look like good pastries, kind of savory pastries, and then one sweet tapioca thing. Now we've got to go in search for kopi. Kopi is the Singapore style of coffee. It's sweetened with condensed milk and it's heavenly. We've got the ferry over to a little island called Pulau Ubin, and you probably can't hear me because it's really loud, but it's so nice to get out of the city and on the little boat and on the water. The island is best explored by bike, and you can rent a bike for the day for about $5 from one of the many street vendors. We're getting to put our Burning Man skills to use on this island, riding a bike and holding an umbrella at the same time. It's very pretty here. It's a lush forest and pretty shaded forest trails. It's still hot, even with the shade. We're wandering around a little urban fruit farm where they're growing things like mangoes and binjai and pomelos and things I can't pronounce. We are walking through the Chek Jawa wildlife area, and super pretty. It's a nice forested area, except for right behind me. Most of the paths have been shaded, although it's still crazy hot. I am dripping with sweat. We rode our bikes and
Dripping.
really dripping with sweat. You ride your bikes to get here. I suppose you could walk, but it's definitely better to ride your bikes. And the way that is possible in this little dress is I have bike shorts underneath of it. Bike shorts. Not only are the bike shorts good for riding your bike, they keep your thighs from chafing. And super important in this humidity. We've climbed a bazillion steps to get on top of this really cool observation tower that looks above the canopy over at the water. It's very pretty. We have earned our lunch. We've been riding all around Pulau Ubin and are starving, and here comes some awesome food. The verdict on chili crab. It's actually really good. The crab meat is a very good crab meat. It's a wonderful meal. You should definitely have it if you're in Singapore. It doesn't quite beat blue crab steamed in Old Bay and beer for me, but it's pretty good. When you're reading about Singapore or watching videos, everybody tells you bring tissues to save your seat at your table. What I've never heard anybody tell you is that restaurants don't give you napkins, and so you actually need those tissues to use as a napkin. So bring tissues. If you're traveling on a budget, which we are, you're going to want to take the buses or the MRT, which is the subway, everywhere you go, and you want to get a EasyLink card to do that. Super easy. You can buy them at 7-Elevens or at the MRT stations.
EasyLink card brought to you by Marvel Studios.
And super cheap to get anywhere, and it's really easy. Everything's really well marked, really well planned out. And you can download an app called the Go There app, which will tell you what buses to get on or what MRT to get on. And it's been super helpful. And the app uses all your phone batteries, so bring a phone charger. We're walking through Little India right now, and we've just stopped by the Mustafa market and picked up a new pashmina for about $10. Fantastic. After bargain shopping, we had a fantastic lunch at a local restaurant and spent some time exploring the sights. At the Newton Food Center and waiting our black pepper crab and stingray. Meantime, having some sugarcane juice, which is really good. What are these? Popa. The popas are good, the stingray's good. Haven't tried the crab yet, but we're about to dig in. The black pepper crab is really good, and I think it's better than the chili crab. We're going to pay a visit this morning to the Asian Civilizations Museum. The highlight of this museum is the Tang shipwreck and the hundreds of pieces of pottery that were recovered from it. But they also have a wonderful collection of ancient art from all over the Asian world. These cool mirror ball sculptures behind us that look really neat, but in today's heat there is no way I am standing next to a giant reflective surface. But Mary Beth apparently is going to. So I walked up to the giant reflective balls. They were actually kind of neat. We're at a great little hawker center getting some lunch, and it looks amazing. This is where we are.
The People's Park Complex.
I'm having a delicious coffee that costs less than $1. So much for Starbucks. And this looks like an amazing lunch. Little soup, cold coffee, some teriyaki chicken. Mary Beth has some, it's not teriyaki, it's uzu chicken. Looks amazing. It's hot, but there's actually a little bit of a breeze going right here. Pretty excited about this. Next up, a visit to the Art Science Museum for a special exhibition of Theo Jansen's strand beasts. It's really cool to see these critters in person. So here we are on the top of the surfboard, the top of the Marina Bay Sands Hotel, taking in the view, having a drink. It is stupidly expensive, but totally worth it for this view. Singapore is a crazy busy port. All of those are ships with shipping containers behind us, along with our Indian friends. Really, these are all of our new Indian friends who all just took pictures with us. They're from Punjabi. So much of this city is about its food, and we are about to eat some satay at Satay by the Bay and fried oysters. Pretty excited about it. We've gotten our dessert after dinner, a traditional dessert. My dessert is soursop and longan's fruit over shave ice, and Mary Beth's is a mango and other stuff shave ice. And I suspect they're going to be pretty good. The desserts are good. They're very sweet and tasty. Checking out the Skyway at the Gardens by the Bay. And it's pretty neat walking up here. It's not as hot as I thought it would be. There is a little breeze. Even though it's in the middle of the day, it's actually a little bit cooler than it is down at street level. And worth the $8 that it costs to get up here. We're visiting the cloud forest and the flower dome, and it's blessedly cool in here and really pretty. Definitely recommend a visit to the cloud forest on one of the sweltering Singapore days. here at the QS 269 Food House having our last meal in Singapore. We've got some century egg porridge and some bao buns and a beer. And gonna enjoy a leisurely last meal here. We've just had a great dinner and are now checking out Bugis Street. You can buy pretty much anything here. We found some dessert at a basically impossibly hipster cafe called the State Bird Cafe. Pretty good desserts though. Had some ice cream. That's vital. Now we're wandering around the Arab Quarter, Kampong Glam, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, and checking out the sights. The Arab Quarter is basically a hipster hangout. Definitely got a young crowd and lots of hipster joints. Zaijian, Alvida, Selamat tinggal, and goodbye for now, Singapore.